So hello everyone, very good morning and warm welcome to the TY Taster Day here with Shannon College of Hotel Management. My own name is Emma Daly. I am the School Liaison Officer here in Shannon College and I'm so delighted to have you all here today. We've got an amazing lineup with some really fantastic speakers throughout the morning. So firstly, I would like to start by introducing to you Miss Kate O'Connell, who is going to speak to you about the global hospitality and an overview of the industry. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Emma. Good morning, everybody who is doing the TY year, which is a fantastic year, and welcome to the Shannon College of Hotel Management. We are a world-renowned college here for more than 70 years. I would just like to put myself in your shoes. 45 years ago, just kind of this week, I was sitting where you are today in Sculpole in Kilfinnan, County Limerick. So I hope you are online, Sculpole. I was a Leaving Cert student. I had in my head that I was going to go to UCC and study history and accounting. And then one day we had a visit from somebody from the Shannon College, and they spoke to us about the course, and they said the second year of the program was going to be spent in Geneva. Now that to me was the winning sentence. As opposed to living in a small village in rural County Limerick on a farm, or spending my second year in college in Geneva was a no-brainer, so I immediately signed up to attend Shannon College, and I was very lucky to be accepted. And it was one of the best decisions I have ever made. I have travelled the world in those 45 years. I did spend my second year in Geneva. I then subsequently spent almost 20 years in the UK, 15 of those in London. I worked in the Netherlands, in Greece, in Hong Kong. And for the past 22 years, I have been back in Shannon, helping to run the college, develop the programs, and teach on international human resource management. So my life of the 45 years has gone so fast, and I must say I have enjoyed every day of it. There are no 2 days the same. Every day is challenging, every day is interesting, and every day is motivating. So let's have a look at what the travel and tourism hospitality contribution to employment is. By 2030, 1.8 billion international tourists are expected across the world. 1 in 10 jobs, this is 9.9% of global employment, is tied up in the travel and tourism industry. 1 in 5 of all global net jobs created in the last decade have been within the travel and tourism sector. These are both here in Ireland, which have seen a huge development in the standard, the quality, the variance of jobs within the Irish hotel industry, but right across the world. Through the value of LinkedIn, which is a network, you're probably all aware of it, a network of keeping in contact with all professional people. I keep in contact with the vast majority of our graduates who keep moving to wonderful jobs all over the world. So let's look at some of the major hotel companies in the world for this year, 2022. And I've just given you a taste of 6 for the moment. So Marriott International, which is the largest hotel chain in the world, and indeed the vice president of Marriott International is a graduate. Joanna Chu is a graduate from Shannon College, which we're very proud of. She was appointed to that position last week. So Marriott Hotels have got 7,642 hotels, 1,423 rooms in 131 countries with 30 different brands. Jinjiang, which is a new hotel company in the top 6, is a Chinese-based company with 10,000 hotels with almost 1,100,000 rooms. Hilton Worldwide, 6,900 hotels in 1,010,257 rooms in 118 countries with 18 brands. Wyndham Hotels with 8,941 hotels, 795,909 rooms in 80 different countries with 20 brands. An Intercontinental Hotel Group, IHG, 6,000 hotels, 886 rooms in 100 countries with 6 brands. And Accor Group, based in France, headquartered in Paris, 5,000 hotels, 750,000 rooms. So you can see this is just the top 6 major hotel companies in the world, massive industry worldwide, who continuously need passionate, vibrant, intelligent, business-focused, strong international hoteliers. So just look a little bit closer at Accor as a case study. As I said earlier on, they've got 5,100 hotels, almost 750,000 rooms in 110 countries. But the most important part that I want to look at is they have got 300,000 employees right across the world. And of those employees, 54% of the employees are under the age of 35. 43% of our employees are female. So this is a really young industry. It's an industry that attracts many different people, many different skills, and there's many, many different opportunities of development. There are 37,000 job offers available at the moment on the Accor Global Recruitment website worldwide. They're very much entrenched in training and development. So they have 5 regional campuses that continue to train and develop their employees. They've got 900 plus trainers so that you can ensure continuous development. They're involved hand in glove with 150 plus schools and universities. And I'm delighted to say that Shannon College of Hotel Management is one of the preferred schools that Accor work with and have worked with for the past 30 years. So we have a long-standing relationship with all of these international hotel companies. So as you look in your year of transition and you look at this thinking about what you want to do and the opportunities that's out there, and particularly after the last 2 years of being locked down within first initial 5 kilometers and we couldn't go anywhere and our borders were closed, we have to look to the future. And certainly the future of hotel management is very, very bright. Indeed, I think it's got the most opportunities presently than it has in the last 20 to 30 years. So your future within hotel management, you will never be without a job. You will travel the world. Little did I think, sitting where you are 45 years ago in Sculpole in Kilfinnan, that I would have had the life I have had. I have traveled the world. I have worked with so many different cultures. That is what it's all about. You have fun. It's a great, fun, team-orientated environment. I am still friends with my colleagues from hotels when we opened hotels in all different parts of the world. And that is what it's about. So I ask you to think to join the Shannon family. And by joining the Shannon family, you not only get a unique degree with work experience and high academic awards, but you also gain lifelong friends, as I have for the past 40 years. So I wish you the very best of luck as you look forward to your future, which I'm sure will be very bright. And I would love to see you joining us in Shannon in 2 years' time. So wishing you the very best of luck. And I look forward to seeing you at some future days. I'll hand back over to Emma now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate, for that wonderful presentation. I think I can speak for everyone in the room and everyone listening in that was very inspirational, and I almost want to go back and restudy my degree with Shannon now. So thank you so much for that. I will now pass forward to Dr. Sean Ruan, who is joining us today to speak with you about tourism and travel in the industry.
Good morning, sorry, everybody. First of all, can I get a confirmation that people can see my screen?
Yeah.
Can you see me there, Emma? Put a thumbs up. Okay, good. So thanks to Kate, my colleague, for giving you an overview there of hospitality, global hospitality. And I suppose I'm going to take it a little step further in terms of focusing specifically on travel and tourism. And as I say to students here in Shannon College, you know, without tourism, hotels would not exist. So if you think back over millennia, back to when man first started moving away from home and started having to stay away overnight because they were looking for food and for shelter, they needed somewhere to stay. And that's where the whole notion of accommodation and providing accommodation comes from. Whereas up to the present day, we don't have to go and look for shelter per se. What we're looking for is an experience. So we're delivering experiences to guests. And that's what people pay a lot of money for, is to have that unique experience of staying in our hotels. So to take it to what I'm going to talk about in the context of today, I'm just trying to get my slides to move on there. So the travel and tourism as an industry is very, very valuable globally to the global economic performance of the world. And Ireland is not unique in that context. Lots of countries are heavily invested in travel and tourism as a way of contributing to gross domestic product. Now, you can see on the slide there that it's all looking positive and it's all an upward trajectory until we hit 2019. And it would be remiss of me to come on a presentation this morning here and pretend COVID-19 hadn't happened at all, when we know the fallout of it has been quite negative on a variety of industries, not least of all travel and tourism. But there are positive signs, and I always believe in looking at the glass being half full rather than half empty. And already, as you will see in my presentation, there is positive signs that people are coming back traveling again. You know, it's something innate in all of us, that desire to travel, to go away and to see new places and have new experiences. And that has not changed as a result of COVID-19. If anything, in fact, I think it has been accentuated, because for the 2 years that, for most of the 2 years of the pandemic that we couldn't travel, that really made us appreciate the fact that we were able to travel before COVID came into our lives. So yes, absolutely. You know, the impact of COVID-19 was very, very stark. And when you look at this slide here, you can see how things were very much in the positive on the left-hand side of the screen there in terms of 2019, and it went into the negative very quickly as a result of COVID-19 in 2020. So if people weren't able to travel, people were quarantining at home, international travel came to an abrupt end. Lots of countries impacted or imposed significant restrictions in terms of quarantining, etc., and the need for quarantining to allow people into the country. So the net result of that was people just stopped traveling. And that obviously had a very detrimental impact on hotels, and particularly on the financial performance of those hotels. And that's where they struggled, and where we saw, in the context of Ireland, government financial supports being put in place in terms of the pandemic unemployment payment. And it was great, you know, it was a fantastic initiative on behalf of the Irish government to allow businesses in travel and tourism here in this country to keep the lights on and keep the doors somewhat open, and to keep staff, more importantly, engaged. Lots of time and effort, and more importantly, money is spent in training staff for hotels and for restaurants and for travel. And all of that could have been lost if people were just literally let go and not kept on the books at some point over that pandemic. So that was a great initiative on behalf of the Irish government. And that's what's helping us get back much more quickly back to normal practice now that travel has opened up again. So in an Irish context, I suppose, why should you be looking at a career in travel and tourism? And, you know, COVID is a bump on the road, a significant bump on the road, but we will move beyond that absolutely going into the future. So it's traditionally pre-COVID, it would have been 4% of gross domestic product. 1 in 10 jobs in Ireland are attributed to the travel and tourism industry, particularly in counties like Kerry. It would be even higher down there. Over 9 billion of a value from the Irish tourism industry. And then looking at the real payback for the Irish government here is in terms of taxes, payback to the Irish Exchequer. So it is a very important industry here in the context of Ireland. And that's why the government did put all that investment in place there to try and offset the financial fallout from COVID-19. So the Irish Tourism Industry Confederation is one of the stakeholders here in Ireland that produces a lot of research on travel and tourism in Ireland. And they have a dashboard that they bring out every month. And this is the one from March, so literally from a little over a month ago. And you can still see there that, you know, international travel into Ireland from our main markets such as Great Britain, North America and continental Europe are still in the negative. And that is to be expected, considering that restrictions for travel into Ireland were only lifted shortly after Christmas, around early February. So there's a slow burn, I suppose, in terms of people coming back and booking travel. But the forward bookings, and this is something you will learn here in Shannon in terms of looking at rates for hotels, we very much look into the future. We can see what kind of booking patterns are happening in terms of reservations for hotels. And that also translates at a national level in terms of bookings for airlines, for transport, and for accommodation in the country. So the positive for today, for all of you online today, is that looking to the future, we can absolutely see that bookings are beginning to return back to normal in the next couple of months. So depending on who you look at and what research you read, some people are projecting we could be getting back to 2019 levels of travel by the end of 2022, which is the end of the year we're currently in. More conservative analysts are saying it could be sometime in 2023 before we get back. But the important narrative here is they are absolutely all agreeing we are going to get back to those wonderful levels of travel and bookings and revenues that we were enjoying back in 2019. So I suppose the key takeaway I want all of you to go away with from my presentation, and I think Kate O'Connell, my colleague here, was saying that too in hers, is that the future is bright. Demand for skilled staff in the hospitality industry globally is still far short of what's needed. So in other words, there are hotels being built. There's lots of new developments in the pipeline with all the major hotel companies such as Hilton, Marriott, which is the biggest hotel company now in the world with over 30 different brands. They're all committed to developments that they had put in train prior to COVID-19 in a lot of major markets around the world. If you look at population basis in countries like China and India, massive populations, growing demand in all of those countries. So there will always be need for qualified, experienced hotel management personnel around the world. And as Kate mentioned, from our own experience, the other positive from a career in travel and tourism is that you get to travel yourself. So you will never be out of work. You will never not be in a position of getting a job. So as I mentioned there, forward bookings for accommodation and travel are beginning to show positive signs. Like I said, it could be as early as the end part of 2022, or it might be pushed into the earlier part of 2023, but we're getting back to those heady days of 2019 where trajectories were going up. You know, orders for aircraft from companies like Boeing and Airbus back in 2019 were well up above what was expected, because with the increase in travel, obviously all the airlines needed to replace their fleets. Sustainability is another trend that we're seeing going forward in terms of the impact of travel and tourism has on the planet. And unfortunately, our industry comes in sometimes for very harsh criticism in terms of the contribution of carbon, but that's where technology is going to lead that battle in terms of the types of aircraft that are being developed. So Boeing and Airbus have new types of aircraft that have lower emissions, that are more fuel efficient. They're made from carbon fiber, so they're not made from traditional aluminium like other aircraft used to be. So they're lighter, and weight is very much connected to the amount of fuel an airline burns. So if the aircraft is lighter, it doesn't burn as much fuel, and that makes it more economical, but it also makes it better for the environment. If you've been listening to the news during the week, you'd have seen that Qantas have come out now with a commitment to have the longest long-haul flight, I think, from 2025. So they'll be going direct non-stop from Sydney to London Heathrow, 20 hours in the air. You'd ask yourself, how could you stay up for that length of time? What would you do with yourself? But it's a 4-cabin category flight. So you have first class, business class, premium economy and economy. There's an area on the aircraft where you can do stretching. There's a wellness part of the aircraft as well because of the length of time that the flight takes. So this is the industry you're hopefully going to sign up for. It's dynamic, it's ever changing, you will never be bored, right? So mobility, this is what the pandemic has taught us. The pandemic has taught us that mobility is still very, very important to everybody. People like the idea of getting away from home, either meeting friends and family, or to just go and have a different experience in another culture, the different type of foods that you will experience when you're traveling, and the types of sites that you will see. So people still want to see that in their travel behavior. So why choose a career in hospitality and tourism? And I suppose that's what we're on about here today for all of you that are considering career choices. And I know it's coming up to the change of mind for the CAO. So if you haven't put Shannon College down on your top 10 of courses to do, maybe after today, that's something you might give consideration to. Our industry is dynamic and exciting. And there's lots of people, I'm one of them, that was never suited to being stuck at a desk all day and just doing the same thing. So if you work in our industry, it doesn't matter whether you end up in hotels, or you end up in the food sector, or you end up in the travel and leisure sector, you can be guaranteed an exciting and very dynamic career where no 2 days are ever the same. You will work with people from different cultures. So it's a very interesting career path to have. As Kate said, you can travel the world. It is a passport, literally. There isn't a part of the globe that we live on that the qualification you would get from Shannon College in NUI Galway wouldn't translate to. So it's a business degree, whether you do the BCom or the BBS, and that will open lots of doors for you in every part of the world. And not just in hospitality and tourism. We have lots of our graduates that have branched out into other careers, but it was that qualification they got from Shannon that gave them the opportunity to move into a slightly different direction. And the skills that people get from a career in hospitality and travel and tourism are very transferable and highly sought after, actually, from a lot of industries outside of the world of travel and tourism. Because first and foremost, you're a problem solver. You're able to think on your feet. You're able to work well with other people. You're able to work well as part of a team. And those skills are always highly sought after. So as I say, you will never be out of work. So many different career choices, and you will never be bored. And that is the key takeaway, I suppose, from today in terms of what I'm trying to communicate across to you. So the next and my final little slide that I want to share with you is a graduate of ours called Peter Fitzgerald, who hails from County Cork. And I have, as part of my job here, I have the pleasure sometimes of getting to travel myself. So I was out in the Seychelles, a little island nation in the Indian Ocean last week, where we are working in partnership with a local hospitality college there. And Peter, one of our graduates from Shannon, is in the Four Seasons resort out there. So I'm just going to take you to his slide to let him share his experiences with you.
Okay, so we're here today with Peter Fitzgerald, a graduate of Shannon College of Hotel Management from 2014 in the beautiful surroundings of the Four Seasons Resort in Seychelles. Lovely view there out over the Indian Ocean and down over the resort itself. So Peter, you graduated from Shannon in 2014, and what was your career trajectory since then?
Well, my final year placement was with Four Seasons in Dublin. They took me on as MIT, so I'm a part of the manager and training program. So I did that for around 18 months in the rooms division, so as MIT rooms. And then I moved across, I stayed with Four Seasons, and I moved across as assistant outlets manager in Four Seasons in Dublin. This was short-lived. It was only around 6 months because then they rebranded to Intercontinental. So as soon as they rebranded Intercontinental, Four Seasons contacted me. Would I like to stay with Four Seasons? Do I want to stay in Dublin and work for the Intercontinental? Of course, I said I would stay with Four Seasons. They've been so good to me up until that point. So then I moved across here to Four Seasons Seychelles in the capacity of an assistant restaurant manager. And I've actually been in Seychelles 7 years with Four Seasons at this point. So I've had different roles. So I've had assistant restaurant manager, assistant room service manager, room service and events manager. Then I was restaurant pool and beach manager, and I have my current role now as director of restaurants. My director of restaurants role has developed as well over the last 2 years. With COVID, I actually took over the entire F&B operation in my same role as director of restaurants. So that's my current position at the moment. I'm spearheading the F&B operation for this fantastic resort that you see behind me.
So what would a typical day for you here, Peter, now in your current role entail for you?
Oh, it could be anything. Depends on the day, but I mean, there's a lot of report checking financials of yesterday, following up on any staffing issues, and then it's all about guest contact for the rest of the day. We're out with our guests. We're in a resort. We have a length of stay around 5 to 6 nights. So our guests get to know us very well. We get to know them very well. So it's a resort setting, so it's obviously very sociable when you're out and about with the guests. So you're just going around connecting with them, seeing if there's any issues, if there's sort of certain information that we can pick up on to make the guest experience that bit more special. This is what we do in Four Seasons. It's all about customization, personalization, and it's just keeping the show on the road then after that.
Good. And how do you feel Shannon College of Hotel Management and pursuing the BBS in International Hotel Management there helped you to get to where you are today?
Definitely the blend of the format of Shannon with the practical and the theory is exactly what my day is. You know, like I said, I'm starting the day looking at financials. This is going back to my accounting classes, and you know, it's all about your theory, and then you're pushing in strategies in place as well. We've done strategy, we've done a bit of HR, and then it's at the practical elements. You know, at the end of the day, if we need to carry a tray in my capacity, I need to carry a tray. I need to pour a pint, if you want to use that phrase as well. So that's the blend of my working day. That's the blend of the education from Shannon, and it just sets the expectation from there.
And how did you hear about Shannon in the first instance, as opposed to any other college you could have ended up in?
I think this is when I was working back in Ireland, when I had my part-time job in second level. I was working in Longville House Hotel in Mallow, County Cork, and they had a great connection with Shannon, and they still do, and they were promoting it to me. I didn't really hear about it until then, and then, you know, as I was finishing up my second level, this Shannon College was in my head, and then you go and pursue the information from there. You went down to the open day and things like that, and that's where it all started. The love of Shannon started from there.
Great. Well, Peter, I know you're a busy man, so we won't hold you any longer today, and thank you so much for giving us of your time. And it's always good to see you doing so well here in Four Seasons in Seychelles.
Sorry, so everyone, that is my presentation. So I will just stop sharing my screen, and I'll hand you back to Emma. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sean. That was amazing. And I think between yourself and Kate, you really have opened everyone's eyes, hopefully, to the world of opportunity and possibilities through this kind of a career. And if one of those words that was mentioned stands out to you, being passionate, vibrant, having an interest in travel, a world of opportunity, and also a very dynamic career, which, like you said, Sean, you definitely would never be bored, and no 2 days are the same. And even just to get a taster and have a look at Peter, who is a graduate and living the life that I'm sure we all dream of in the Seychelles, and that's just an insight into some of the opportunities that you could also have if you do come to join us in a few years' time. So thank you so much. I will pass on now to the next speaker, who is going to be Connor Doran, who is a third-year student here in Shannon College of Hotel Management. Connor is a student ambassador, and he's going to talk a little bit about the food and beverage department, as well as a demo for you to see as well.
Good morning, and also a warm welcome from my side here to Shannon College of Hotel Management and to the TY Taster event for yourselves. My name is Connor Doran. I'm a third-year student here at the college. I'm half German, half Irish, and today I'm going to speak about restaurant service. I'm going to commence my talk about the practical elements at the training restaurant here in Shannon College. Then I'm going to say something about my placement experience. And lastly, I will be going to say something about word skills. Here at Shannon College of Hotel Management, we have our practical restaurant, which is called O'Regan's Restaurant. O'Regan's Restaurant can seat up to 30 people. has a bar and is fully equipped with EPOS systems all around the restaurant. We've got 2 kitchens for the restaurant. So there's the production kitchen, which actually produces the food for the restaurant, which is equipped with the most modern technology you would see in any industrial kitchen. And then we've also got the demo kitchen, which is basically our skills kitchen, where we train the chefs in order to be able to go on their placement and to be well trained when they do so. So obviously I'm going to speak more about the service side of things in O'Regan's restaurants. So the fantastic thing about the restaurant is that you're going to serve your fellow students, you're going to serve your lecturers, and sometimes also some VIPs, which is a really great experience and a really great, fantastic opportunity to do some networking. The fantastic thing as well is that due to the fact that you would know a lot of the people that you serve, it's a very familiar atmosphere that you have. So it kind of takes away the stress that you would have if you would be serving in a restaurant for the first time. So another really big benefit would be that even if you don't have a lot of experience in restaurants, that's absolutely no problem. Of course, it will absolutely stand to you if you do get some summer job or maybe job at the side in any people industry. So it really doesn't have to be in a restaurant, maybe in a supermarket, in a shop, or in an ice cream parlor, or anything like that is a fantastic thing you can do maybe before you come to Shannon College, which will really stand to you because you have had this interpersonal interaction with guests, and that's very similar to what you have in a restaurant as well. And the skill side of things on the other hand, so how to carry a tray, how to carry plates, how to take an order, that's absolutely no problem. So Shannon College will take care of all of that. So you can imagine when you walk in on your first day of your restaurant practical orientation, which is a 5-week rotation really. So there's the first 2 weeks, and then after a couple of months in the latter half of the year, you have another 3 months where you're able to really enhance your service skills. Then. So in the first 2 weeks, you will really learn the basic service. So it doesn't matter whether you have worked in a restaurant or not, everyone will be learning exactly the same, so that the standards that are performed in the restaurant are all identical. So you're going to start off maybe carrying a tray, having 1 glass of water on it, and then they'll add another glass and another glass until you really get the swing of it. And then the same happens also for setting a table. So the lecturers will show you how exactly a basic table setup looks like. So maybe with the joint forks and maybe a dessert cutlery. And then from day to day, you will increase the level, the skill level that you have in the restaurant practical. So you will add maybe another course or a cutlery change. So for example, if you have a fish course, that you will add the fish cutlery. Then another step that would come as well would be silver service of bread. So what silver service means is that you have a service spoon and a service fork, and with one hand you take your bread and you place it next to the customer, and you will also serve the butter. And then really from day to day it gets more and more, but that's absolutely not intimidating because it comes stepwise. And the great thing is that you have the morning to further your skills. So in the morning you have skills training together with the lecturers. They will show you new things every day, and you will be able to incorporate those into the service that you know already. So there's always just one small element, rather than, let's say, in industry where a lot of things are thrown at you at the same time. And that's a really great way to learn here, as we have it here in the college. Then further than that, you also have wine studies in first year, which is an element of the restaurant practicals as well. You have spirit lectures, and then at the end of your training you get to banquet service, so where you have a long table of people and you serve them all at the same time. So like, let's say, at a wedding or any other function in a restaurant or hotel, and you have buffet service. So you really go through all the different services that might arise in your practical placement in second year. And then finally, you'll also go to the fine dining element, which is really the most exciting part about restaurant service, where you will have elements of Geridon service. So for example, that you're going to prepare an Irish coffee tableside to the customer, or a Garridon flambe, which I'm actually going to present to you afterwards when I'm bringing you over to O'Regan's restaurant. And as mentioned, it's just a really great platform that we have here at the college, which a lot of the colleges don't have. And I think it's a really, really precious asset that we have here in Shannon, that we are able to learn all of these skills before we go out in a one-year international practical placement out into the big world. And as I just mentioned in the last slide as well, the practical placement. So I would just like to talk a little bit about my experience of my practical placement over in Germany. So I was in a lovely 150-bedroom hotel in the Black Forest in Germany, which is in the south part of the country. It's a 5-star superior hotel, so that's the top of the line, as good as it can get. They had 4 Michelin stars, which is the highest restaurant rating you can get. So Michelin guide goes from 1 to 3, and it 1, 3, and 1 Michelin. They had a hiking hut, they had a hotel bar, they had the bar bistro of the pool, and also a half-board restaurant, which was also a fantastic way to improve the skills, because you had a set menu and you were able to have a small station and working yourself up to having a bigger station every week, let's say. And the fantastic thing about my placement was that it was kind of in an F&B trainee position, so I really got around all the F&B departments. So I started off in the hotel bar, which was an amazing experience, serving up to 200 guests a day with drinks, which was just so much fun, because obviously in a bar environment people are really, really nice and very happy to have you. Then I went up to the Silberberg, which was the half-board restaurant, moving up around the places, purchasing, and also the 1 Michelin fine dining restaurant, and as well as, let's say, the end of my placement. The fantastic thing about the second year placement is that all the skills that you learn in second year, or in first year, sorry, really get enhanced through the practical experience that you have. And there's really nothing that can further your training more than actually serving real customers. And besides that, the practical placement in a foreign country will probably be the most amazing year you've had so far. Like, it's so fun. You've got people from so many different cultures that are coming together. Of course, you'll maybe be a little bit homesick at the start, but the great thing about hospitality is that we're all in the same boat, and they'll all really be very welcoming, and they'll be taking very good care of you despite where you go. Lastly, now I'm also going to speak about a really exciting opportunity here at Shannon College of Hotel Management, which is World Skills. So World Skills is an international skills competition where people from very different practical jobs can compete against each other in their own categories. So there's over 40 categories that are competing against each other. Obviously, I was competing for the restaurant service category, and I started off in the qualifications in Shannon College. So we had a couple of students who were competing against each other. We were boxing tables, we were decanting wine, setting up a fine dining table, and then thankfully together with Juliet, first year I made it into the second round, into the national final, which this year took place in Shannon College of Hotel Management. This really was a fantastic opportunity to network with people from different universities. So we had GMIT, we had TU Dublin, and we were all competing against each other, had great fun together, and a really exciting 2 days. And thankfully, I was lucky enough to win the national finals here in Shannon, and therefore I will be representing Shannon in Shanghai in October, which will be a fantastic opportunity. So I get to see a different culture, and it's not just World Skills that we have here in Shannon College. We're very competitive in our nature. It's obviously everyone's individual decision whether they want to partake in this or not, but it is a fantastic opportunity to travel the world, as obviously the second year placement is as well. But it's just another element to network with people from universities all over the world, studying the same as us.
Brilliant. Okay, so you had a little bit of an insight there into our restaurant and food and beverage practical, and heard from one of our very own students who is competing in one of the many competitions that students can take part in. So we'll move on now to Miss Lorraine Kavanagh, who's going to speak a little bit about the Intercultural Studies and Communications module, as well as the language modules here in Shannon College.
Good morning. Thank you, Emma, for that introduction. So I'd like to welcome you to our talk today. As Emma mentioned, for the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to talk to you about languages and intercultural communication here at Shannon College. So first, a little bit about myself. I am a lecturer in English as a foreign language, and I teach English to our international students who come from lots of countries, including South Korea, China, and India. And in year 3, then, I teach intercultural communication to our EU students. When I was asked to do this talk, I was thinking back to what it was like when I was in transition year. And I kind of remember thinking about my future and hoping that, it would involve travel at some level. And I was very fortunate to get the opportunity to live in France for a year during my university degree. So for the first 6 months, I got to work in Paris, teaching English actually, and I think that's where my love for teaching came from. And then I got to study for 6 months in a French university based in Brittany. And the whole experience was amazing. It was a great opportunity to try a new culture, new foods, listen to music I'd never heard before, and meet people from really interesting backgrounds. And that's what we offer here on our placement. When you go on your second year placement, you are given an amazing opportunity to experience a new life, new ways of thinking, and new ways of working that you may not experience while you're living here in Ireland. And all of this is possible because of the Erasmus Plus program. So if you haven't heard of this program, it's an EU funded program and it allows student mobility. Basically, any students in the European Union are able to travel to other member states in order to gain work experience, do training programs or study. So here at Shannon College, we also use the program to help send our students on their second year of placement abroad. So moving on now to the languages that we teach here at Shannon. We have French, German, Spanish, English as a foreign language, and intercultural communication. So you might be asking yourself, what language do you study when you get here? Basically, whatever language you do for your Leaving Cert, that's the language that you take when you arrive here in Shannon College. The reason why we continue on with the language that you've learned since secondary school is because you're going out on placement in second year and you're going to be working and living in a culture with a different language. So we feel the best way to send you prepared for your placement is to just keep building up on the language skills that you've been developing since first year of secondary school. If the language you study is not available, for example, if you study Italian, or if you have a language waiver or a language exemption, then we offer you intercultural communication instead. And the placements for this module are in English-speaking countries, so either here in Ireland or somewhere over in the UK. So why learn languages? Learning languages has lots and lots of benefits. It's not just to pass your junior cert and your leaving certificate. There's lots of reasons why you should learn a language. First of all, it helps improve your communication. When we learn a language, we learn new ways to try and get our ideas, our opinions, and our feelings across. Also, when we learn a new language, it often makes us reflect on our own language skills, like how do we use English, what grammar do we use all the time? It makes us a little bit more aware of how we use our own language too. Learning languages also helps you develop your cultural awareness. So you may have seen already in some of your textbooks in school, some of them come from French, German or Spanish newspapers. In college, we use videos, text, songs from the target culture, and all of these help bring in some of the culture for the country that you will be moving to. So it's a great way to develop your cultural understanding of other countries while you learn a language. You might be surprised by the next fact here on the infograph, and that is that learning a language can actually help you with your math skills. Studies show that people who study languages tend to notice an improvement in their mathematical skills. And the reason for this is because when you learn a language, your brain is very active. It's always thinking. It has to remember a lot of vocabulary. It has to remember all the grammar rules and the structures. So it's constantly working on what's known as your critical thinking skills. And critical thinking skills involve areas such as problem solving, reason, logic, and of course, all of these are skills that are required for maths. So learning a language can actually help you with your maths. Of course, we all know that learning languages makes it easier to travel. And sometimes, you know, when we come from an English-speaking country, we often work under the assumption that we'll always find someone who can speak English. And believe me, that's not true. On my first trip to China, I met very few people who could speak English. I had to spend the whole time with everything I wanted written in Chinese and pointing. So certainly my first time going to China would have been much easier if I had some basic Chinese. So having another language does help you experience better travel, I suppose. Working there, looking next at better memory. I already mentioned that you have to remember a lot of vocabulary, so of course that helps your memory. And when you learn a new language, you often end up traveling, and that helps you meet friends from other cultures, which again helps raise your cultural awareness. And you get to see how people think and work from a different perspective. Heightened logic again fits in with the math skills. And finally, better career prospects. More and more employers are looking for their employees to have language skills, not just so you can, you know, talk to people from other countries, but also within your own team. We're starting to notice teams are becoming more and more diversified. So you may stay here in Ireland, but you will definitely be working with people from other cultures and other languages. So having another language can help you communicate better with the team you're working with. So it's really, really important to learn a language and that you learn a language well, because often it's very easy to make a mistake. You know, if you leave out a little bit of grammar or if you use the incorrect word, it can completely change the meaning of what you're trying to say. So on the next few slides, I have some pictures of mistranslations from around the world. And unfortunately, the people who wrote the English part probably assumed that their English was a little bit better than what it was. So on the first slide here, we have a mistranslation on the menu. For chicken tacos, they say it's from chicken fillet, bacon, tender vegetarians, and mustard syrup. So getting a little extra surprise there with your tacos, you're not getting vegetables, you're getting vegetarians instead. On the next one, this is a grammar mistake at an airport in India, and they mistranslated their sign into eating carpet, strictly prohibited. Now, I'm sure, of course, they don't want anyone eating their carpet, but what they meant to say was eating on the carpet, strictly prohibited. So even leaving out little bits of grammar, because, you know, I know from my own experience teaching languages, students do not like learning grammar, but it is important because it can completely change what you're trying to say. Here in France at a swimming pool, they mistranslated a rule, and the rule was mistranslated into anyone obeying the swimming pool regulations may be required to leave. So quite unusual that you'd be asked to leave a place because you are following the rules. Here, I think it's a Russian sign, and first of all, there's a spelling mistake with attention, and then it says pat under the roof of dangerous. So again, not very clear what's happening here. All you can assume is that there's something dangerous and it might be with the roof. And finally, in this shop, they sell delicious chicken tights instead of chicken ties. Moving on to intercultural communication. This is another subject that we teach here at Shannon College, and it looks at cultures, it looks at different ways that cultures perceive work ethic, humor, lots of different things. This cartoon kind of shows you, you know, just even from greeting people, how it can be so different. If we look at the man on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see he's probably from Western culture. He has his hand out to shake someone's hand, and the man doesn't take his hand. So as we know ourselves, if your hand is left hanging there, it's actually quite embarrassing. The other man, however, appears to be Japanese, and he's presenting him with his business card. In intercultural communication, we look at how even presenting business cards can vary a lot across cultures. In Japan, business cards are seen as a sign of respect. So when you give someone your business card, you have to bow, you have to present it holding it with your two hands, and the writing of the business card must be facing the person that you're giving the card to. Equally, the person who receives the card must also receive it by bowing and putting their two hands on it. And then they must take care of the card when they receive it. I once heard of an unfortunate incident where a Japanese businessman presented his business card to an American who took it with one hand and then used it to clean out his teeth in front of him. So you can imagine there was a lot of upset caused by that. Moving into the middle, we have a man and a woman, and as you can see, the woman keeps getting very close to the man and he's backing away, and this is an issue with personal space. Different cultures have different ideas as to what personal space is and what it means. So the woman is from a culture where personal space means people must come close to you to be friendly, where the man is clearly from a culture where no one enters into your personal space unless you agree to it, certainly not a stranger, so he feels she's being a little bit intrusive. And then the poor man at the end looks very lost because he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. So in our culture communication class, we look at how cultures vary many different ways, and in year 3 then we look at it from a management perspective. So if you're a manager, how do you manage this diversity on your team? And it really does come down to just having an awareness of how different cultures approach so many different elements of life. So examples of this would be perception of time. Some cultures are very rigid with time. A culture that you're probably most aware of that would be very good timekeepers are the Germans. So if they say a bus is going to leave at 12, a bus is going to leave at exactly 12. Here in Ireland, if we say a bus is going to leave at 12, it may leave at 12, it may leave at 12, it may leave at 12, and the bus may not even leave at all. So we have a slightly different relationship to time compared to the Germans, and that's the same across all cultures. Humour is something that can very much vary across cultures. Here in Ireland, we can often be sarcastic, we can make fun of ourselves, a little bit of fun of our friends. In the workplace, it's usually acceptable to have some humour, but in other cultures, that would be seen as a big no-no. Some cultures view that humour should only be kept for when you're in social situations, like with your family and with your friends. So it would be very much frowned upon if you were to try and be humorous at work. Also, as I mentioned, personal space, it can be an issue. Often people from countries in South America, they tend to view personal space as a sign of friendliness. So coming very close to someone is a sign that they're trying to be very friendly. So if you keep backing away, they will keep following you in a bid to try and be friendly, not realizing that you are perhaps very, very uncomfortable with how close they're getting to you, especially if you don't know them. Eye contact. Again, this is something that can vary hugely across different cultures. In Western culture, which Ireland is part of, we value direct eye contact. So that means looking someone straight in the eye. For us, direct eye contact is a sign of honesty and it's a sign of confidence. If we notice that someone keeps looking away when they're speaking to us, we assume that they're either shy or that they're lying to us. So for us, direct eye contact is very, very important. However, in other cultures, direct eye contact can be viewed as actually an aggressive practice. So if a boss is talking to an employee and they're making direct eye contact with them, they may feel that the employee is challenging their authority. The employee is expected to look down while they're being spoken to by their boss. So eye contact, like I said, can be very, very big across different cultures. Also, addressing people, simply how you call people by their names can vary. Here in Ireland, we can be a little bit lax about it in the workplace. We often call people, including our supervisors and our bosses, by their first names. But in other cultures, that would be a no, and you'd be expected to use the formal titles of your boss and your employees when you're talking to them. So this brings me towards the end of my presentation, and I'm actually going to end it by saying hello, because when we greet people, that's the very first time we make an impression with them. So if people have different ways of saying hello, it can create perhaps a negative impression if we're not aware of the ways that they greet people. So first of all, looking in Tibet, when they greet people for the first time, they stick out their tongues, and this is seen as a sign of deep respect. Here in Ireland, if someone stuck out their tongue at you, particularly if you just met them for the first time, you would assume that they're being a little bit cheeky or disrespectful. The next two countries are Greenland and Tavula, and these are actually on opposite ends of the world, but they have the same type of greeting. They like to sniff each other's faces when they meet. So I think that for us would definitely be a big invasion of personal space if someone tried to smell our faces. And finally, in Japan, as I mentioned already, bowing is very important. So both people must bow to each other when they say hello. So I would like to thank you for listening to me today. Hopefully we will see you in the next few years here at Shannon College. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your speech. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Lorraine, for that. A really nice insight into all the different cultures and opportunities around the world. We're going to take a short break now, and we will be back for some more really interesting speakers at 11:10. So welcome back everyone, and we are joined now by Mr. David O'Donovan, who is going to speak to you a little bit about an insight of the business studies that we have here in Shannon College of Hotel Management.
Thanks, Emma. Hi, everyone. My name is David O'Donovan, and I'm the Programme Leader for the Bachelor of Business Studies and the Bachelor of Commerce degree programmes in Shannon College Hotel Management. So in this presentation, I just want to give a brief insight into the business studies modules that students would complete in their degrees programmes, and also just talk a little bit about the overall degree structure in terms of how the placement is structured within the degree programme itself. So there's two degree programs. So we have our Bachelor of Business Studies in International Hotel Management and our Bachelor of Commerce. So both degree programs are both level 8 degree awards, and both programs have the same duration. So they're both 4 years and 9 months. So same duration. So what I'm going to do now is talk a little bit about the breakdown of that structure in terms of how it works in terms of the academic years and when the actual placements occurs. So on the left hand side of the screen here, we've got the Bachelor of Business Studies programme overview, so it's BBS for short. And on the right hand side then we've got the Bachelor of Commerce BCom programme short that outline. So same duration each, so 4 years and 9 months. So in year one, both the BBS students and the BCom students do the exact same modules here on campus in Shannon. So they're actually joined together, one cohort of students. In the next slide, I'll just talk about what modules they actually complete, but just for now, so it's the same modules that are completed. On completion of the year one, both the BBS and the BCom students then go off on a 12-month operative placement. So that placement is done in a European location, and the location is dependent on the language that the student had completed. So if a student is doing French as their language, they would go to a French-speaking location. If Spanish was their language, they go to a Spanish-speaking location. If they did German as a language, they go to a German-speaking location. If a student didn't do a language with Leaving Cert, then they would go to an English-speaking location. That would be the United Kingdom, was where they would complete that placement. So 12-month placement. When they had that completed, back to Shannon for year 3. Both the BBS and the BCom students. So very similar modules completed in year 3. So 75% of the year 3 modules are the same. There's 25% of a difference between the BBS and the BCom, and I'll outline those differences there in a minute or two. The major difference in the two programs occurs in year 4. So in year 4, the BBS students return here to Shannon, but the BCom students, they transfer and they study in UI Galway. So they join the BCom students that are studying in UI Galway, and they complete their final year in Galway. So that is, I suppose, the major difference in terms of the academic element to it. On completion of their year 4 academic year, students go on a 9-month managerial placement. So students themselves decide where that placement is. So some students may decide to do it in Europe, some students might decide to go a bit further, do it in America, Canada, wherever. So it's a 9-month managerial placement. And then on completion of that, then students will graduate. So in summary, 4 years and 9 months broken into 3 academic years of academic studying on campus, and then the two placement elements both in year 2 and in year 5. So what I'll do is I'll just briefly outline the modules that students complete in the academic years. So to start with year 1, so as I mentioned, both the BBS and the BCom students do the exact same modules. So it's broken into 3 elements. So there's professional modules, of which there are 5 of them. So there's accommodation, service and front office operations. There's culinary kitchen practical, food and beverage 1, restaurant services practical, and skills for work life. So as you can see, but the nature of the modules, so there's a high focus on, that's what's hospitality within the professional modules. In the middle, then we have our language. So students will do a language for the full year 1. As I mentioned, so if it's French, they did for their Leaving Cert, they will do French again. If it's German, they will do German. If it's Spanish, they do Spanish. If a student isn't doing a language for their Leaving Cert, then they would do the Intercultural Communication module. And we would also have a number of international students coming out to the programme, so they would do it in English as a foreign language. That's the language they would do. So the language is done both in semester 1 and semester 2 of year 1. And then on the right hand side, then we've got the business modules. So there's 5 business modules that students complete in year 1 across both semesters. So there's information technology, introduction to management accounting, principles of management. So there's 3 for semester 1, and then semester 2, then we've got introduction to financial accounting and quantitative methods. So as you can see there in year 1, there's a nice blend of modules between the business, the professional, and then the language as well. Fast forward into year 3, so students go off in their placement for year 2. So starting with the BBS modules. So all the modules here listed in black are modules that are both the BBS and the BCom students complete. The modules in red here on the screen, they're only done by the BBS students. So I'll actually just start with the red ones, okay? So in semester 1, there's business skills development, and in semester 2, there's hospitality and business law and information technology for business. So they're only done by the BBS students. The other modules, the ones listed in black, are done by both the BCom and the BBS students. And you will see there by the nature of the modules, a number of these are a continuation on of what students would have done in first year. So those practical modules in first year, there was a food and beverage in first, so there's a food and beverage 2 in semester 1 of year 3. There was introduction to management accounting in year 1. Here is a management accounting in semester 1. The language, which was done in year 1, that continues on again in year 3. And in addition, then there are some new, I suppose, business-related modules. So there's principles of marketing, the economics of hospitality industry, and then just transferring across to semester 2. There's rooms division management, business finance, and human resource management. And the language is done for the full academic year. Fast forward to year 4. So in year 4, students will do 9 core modules, and then they will do 3 elective modules across both semester 1 and semester 2. So again, the core modules, a lot of these are a continuation of what students would have done in year 1 and year 3. So in semester 1, there's applied research methods, strategic management, hotel simulation, marketing management, performance management, cost control, and revenue management. And in semester 2, there's international human resource management, principles of tourism, entrepreneurship, and head of college keynote speaker program. And then from the electives, then students do 1 elective in semester 1 from the list of the 6 or 7 available. And in semester 2, the students do two electives from the list available there. So that's the BBS program. While as for the BComs, so on completion of their placement in year 2, they come back for the year 3, as I outlined a minute ago. In year 3, exact same modules as the BBS, just slight difference here is the ones in red. So what I had a few minutes ago for the year 3 BBS slide, this is the exact same. All I've changed is the modules in red. So in semester 1, it's mathematics or business is what the BCom students complete. And in semester 2, they do managerial economics, and then they have a choice of one between either information technology for business or financial accounting 1. All the other modules in black are the ones that the BBS students do as well. So they're joined together for those modules. In year 4, then, the major differences I had outlined earlier is that the year 4 BCom students actually transfer and they study on campus in NUI Galway. So their final year is divided into 3 elements. So there's 20 credits of obligatory modules. So there's Ireland, the global economy, ethics and corporate social responsibility, business strategy, and innovation, creativity and enterprise. So they're mandatory modules students must complete. Then students complete 25 credits worth of stream choice modules. So here they do 5 individual modules that are worth 5 credits each. So there's a list of 9 available streams. So students could do an accounting stream, they could do economics stream, marketing management, human resource management, digital business analytics, finance, international business, enterprise, or a language. So students complete modules from that specific stream choice. And then finally, to make up the total of 60, so it would be 60 credits in each year. So there's 3 modules that are 5 credits each to make up 15 from a list of available electives. So students can pick any electives for that. So we just say, for example, a student might do marketing management as their stream choice, and then they might decide to pick up 1 module from accounting stream, 1 module from human resource management, and 1 module from, say, international business. And that then would break up their 60 credits. So in summary, both programs, same duration, 4 years, 9 months, 3 academic years of study, and the 2 placement, and a very varied list of business modules completed across the degree programs. Hopefully you found this presentation informative, and thanks for watching.
Great, thank you so much, David. And I think it's great to kind of see the different opportunities that students do have here in Shannon. Not only is it your hospitality degree and your very practical focused degree, you also are qualifying with your level 8 business degree, which gives you that opportunity to sway into a lot of different career paths after your graduation. So I will pass us over now to Miss Pamela Likely, who's going to speak a little bit about the accommodation services module here in Shannon.
Hello everyone, my name is Pamela Likely. Thank you, Emma, for that introduction. I teach accommodation services in year 1 and accommodation management in year 3 at Shannon College of Hotel Management. And just to give you, I suppose, a snapshot of what the module entails, what it's about in year 1. Firstly, what is the accommodation department? What are their responsibilities? What do they do? So the accommodation department, if you think of any hotel, wouldn't exist if there were no hotel rooms. So the guest rooms form the accommodation department. As well as that, all the public areas come under the responsibility of the accommodation department. So from the lobby and all the public areas, public toilets, maybe conference and banqueting facilities, depending on the hotel. So there's a lot of responsibility in the accommodation department. I must say what an important part of what the accommodation department do is the guest first impression. So I have a photograph there of just a lobby, a very nice lobby in a fancy hotel in the Caribbean, and your first impression when you walk in the door to that hotel, the guest's first impression, they're like, wow, oh, that's beautiful flowers. So the accommodation department would be also responsible for the floristry in the hotel and the cleanness of the lobby and all that, the general cleanliness of all the corridors and public areas, as well as all the guest rooms. So we're very much focused on the creative side of the accommodation department. In the module, you'll cover a lot in year 1. So you will cover 5 weeks of the practical module. The first 3 weeks will be learning all about the theory of the operations in the department, what makes up the department, the structure of the department, and what activities take place on a daily basis at the beginning of a shift, and how many rooms does a room attendant service, etc. We are very, very fortunate here in Shannon College to be able to work so closely with the Park Inn Hotel here in Shannon, where you will get experience of working live in an accommodation department, a real life accommodation department. And there you will learn how to service a guest room fully, the room and bathroom. You'll be examined in it as well. And there is great teamwork involved in working in the accommodation department. That photograph there is from a beautiful hotel, a resort hotel in the Seychelles. And just to give you an idea of all the different international aspects to the accommodation department. So the rooms in the Park Inn look slightly different, but you will learn the same structure of working in any standard of hotel you will learn with us in first year, and the attention to detail is a huge aspect of that. So I mentioned about first impressions. So the first impression of a guest when a guest arrives in their room. So the last look of the accommodation attendant, the last look of the accommodation supervisor that would have checked the guest room is the guest's first impression, the guest's first look. So we really focus on all the little details, and all the little details have a huge impact on the entire guest experience. So it's very much guest focused in the accommodation department from this aspect. If you look at the review websites that are there, such as TripAdvisor, for example, I'm sure when you're booking your holidays or looking at reserving a hotel that you might throw your eye on one of these review websites. Hotels take them very seriously. All that feedback, both positive and negative, is very important for hotels to improve their standards, for example. And just a little fact for you about the accommodation side of these review websites. So 90% of the complaints that you'll find on the likes of TripAdvisor are related to cleanliness in the guest room. So they're very much accommodation focused, and it's very, very important from the hotel manager's perspective to pay attention to what the guests are saying and to pay attention to that feedback. So we look at that, and we look at, for example, just to give you an idea of what is the dirtiest item in the guest room. So the dirtiest item in the guest room is actually the TV remote, believe it or not. So as particularly after COVID, I think there's an even greater emphasis on the importance of the accommodation services department, and how previous to COVID, accommodation was always very much back of house, whereas now everybody wants to see the accommodation services department working out front, and they want to see them in action, cleaning all those touch point areas in the lobbies, for example. And, you know, it's not so much a back of house department anymore. And there is, you know, a lot of interaction with guests, both in the rooms, on the corridors, and the public areas. So we would say that accommodation department is very much a front of house department as well. It's made up, it is comprised, the rooms division department overall is comprised of the accommodation department and the front office department. They work very, very closely together on a daily basis, and we talk about that in first year, how important it is to have excellent communication between departments, from a guest perspective, from a management perspective, from a staff perspective. So you'll work very closely in the accommodation department with the front office department, and also the maintenance department, because on a daily basis there will be maintenance issues cropping up in guest rooms that need to be repaired to ensure guest satisfaction. So the accommodation department, if you look at from a guest perspective, is responsible for the overall reputation of the hotel from that point where the guest arrives at the hotel, their first impression, their experience of the lobby, the public areas, their sense of comfort, their sense of cleanliness in the hotel, and down to their rooms, then the cleanliness of their rooms. So the reputation of the hotel, if you like, is nearly, you know, every department is responsible for that, of course, but the accommodation services department play a huge role in positive reputation of the hotel. Also in this department, there is huge scope for creativity, and we have a wonderful week in March every year where we all work together from all the different practical areas in preparation for the graduation and for the graduation of the students in year 5. And part of this, the accommodation services department are responsible for all the floral arrangements in Dromoland Castle, for all the table arrangements. And this is a really great opportunity for all the first years in working in the accommodation department to learn a new skill, floristry, for example. And there's great opportunities for presentations in front of your colleagues, in front of your classmates, within the accommodation module as well. So you'll get great confidence in presenting, and you'll get great experience at doing this. The small details, attention to detail, is a huge area again that we focus on from all the different aspects within the department. It's a hugely rewarding department to work in, and you will find that you will have great experience working, you know, as a team in the accommodation department. You'll work in pairs when you're working in the hotel, the Park Inn Hotel. You'll work in pairs when you're servicing a room, and there's great camaraderie. So weeks 1 to 3 are your first rotation, and then you'll move to a different practical rotation when you come back to us again for weeks 4 and 5. You will learn how to inspect a room, a guest room, and we'll do this again in the Park Inn Hotel. And you will do this as a supervisor or as a manager, for example. So you are promoted within the 5 weeks from accommodation attendant to accommodation supervisor, and then you're prepared when you go out working on placement. If you do work in the accommodation department, you will be fully prepared. If you are in a position of supervising at that stage, you will be ready to supervise and check rooms. So we'll do all that. I'm going to show you very quickly, I'm going to demonstrate very quickly how to service a guest room, not to service a guest room, how that we present toilet paper in a guest bedroom, and this is just an example of attention to detail. So I have a toilet paper here with me. I've taken off 3 sheets, so 3 of these sheets where you could all practice this in your own time now at home. So on the second sheet, I'm going to fold it down, and I'm going to tuck the excess toilet paper right underneath. And then I'm going to get my 3 sheets of toilet paper that I've already taken off, and I'm going to place them on top like that at different angles. I hope you can all see me okay. And then I'm going to just push down like that, and so you have that flower effect. So this is one way of presenting a toilet paper, which you learn all about in year 1. Okay, and much more. Okay, thank you. Lovely to speak to you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pamela, for that great insight into the accommodations department and what students will be introduced to in Shannon College. And like you said, really developing your skills with attention to detail and standards. And it's excellent that students get the opportunity in person to really work with the park-in and experience that, and then they can put it into practice in some of the fantastic hotels like the one in the Seychelles that you showed us, which I'm sure we would all love to go and visit at some point. But that's lovely. I will pass then on to the kitchen department. So we are now going to visit our practical and demo kitchens, and our chef Ethna Costello is going to talk us through what the students will get up to during the day.
Welcome to the Culinary Practical Kitchen here in Shannon College of Hotel Management. So what we're showing you at the moment is our demonstration kitchen and all that it entails. So this is where students would prepare starters, main courses and desserts for part of their culinary class. As you can see, we have equipment storage areas, dry stores, lots of different equipment that you'd find in the industry. And then we're moving now into our production kitchen area. So this is where we would prepare pastry goods. This is the pastry section, again, with all the different ingredients and equipment required, specialized machines for producing breads and pastries. We've a industrial style wash-up area, pot wash, and then we have our service and preparation area. So this is where students will prepare meals for our restaurant lunch on a daily basis, where we cater for staff and students and visitors. So as part of our learning outcomes, we teach students to make bread. So what you're seeing here is a student preparing bread rolls for lunch service. So we learn the different techniques involved in making a yeast bread, and we've a variety of shapes and flavors that we would produce daily. So there's this process here is where we egg wash the rolls before they go in the oven, and then sprinkle various toppings on them, such as pumpkin seeds, which you're seeing here. When they're ready for the oven, then they go into our baker's oven, where they'll bake for a period of time, and you can see this happening here, and then this is the finished product. So again, students produce these on a daily basis. Other tasks would be what you're seeing here is the preparation of chips for our fish and chips, which is on our menu during the year. So students would learn to cook and cut and prepare fresh chips, then put them together. So they'll put them with the preparing of fish. See here, this is where the student has to prepare the fish, debone it, portion it, and then what you're seeing here is the fish being dipped in the batter and deep fried for lunch service. So again, these are techniques that the students need to master before they go on placement. And you can see then the cooking of the fish, and here's some that they have already prepared. What we're looking at now is students preparing a beef bourguignon, which is also on our lunch menus at various stages during the year. So again, students get to work with the best raw materials and ingredients. And then you can see this is the plating up area of our restaurant kitchen. So again, the students are plating up the dishes that they've prepared. So these are being served by the students that are training in the restaurant, and they're served to our guests. So the finished product then of the beef bourguignon being plated up, and the students decide how they want to plate it, what garnishes they're going to put on each dish. then this will be delivered to the restaurant. And you can see lovely finished product there, all made by first years. So there's our fish and chips, our beef bourguignon. And this is our head chef putting the finishing touches before they go to the restaurant. So this is our service area again, it mirrors what you would see in industry. The task being done here is the students are producing the dessert, which is a chocolate pudding. So you can see them assembling all the various ingredients, sieving the flour, using our mixer then to produce the batter, which they'll pipe into the molds. So these are all the various ingredients involved. So the student is following a recipe that they've been given by the lecturer, and then they follow the steps involved and then plate it for dessert. So some of the techniques you'd be learning will be how to use a piping bag. So they're filling up our molds here with the chocolate pudding before it goes into the oven. And here's the finished chocolate pudding then getting plated up again for service, and it's been served with a homemade ice cream that the students would have also prepared. So they're practicing different plating techniques that you would see in industry, and there's opportunity here for students to get creative, do some research and put their ideas on a plate. So here's our homemade rum and raisin ice cream, served with a caramel sauce. It's all very appetizing and delicious. I think you'll agree it's looking pretty nice. There's just a sample of the dishes going to a table. And here are some of our first years getting to taste the dish.
Wonderful. That was great, Ethna, and we got a really nice insight into the kitchen and all that it has to offer and what the students will be getting up to during the day and during that practical module as well. So developing those skills, because you will put those into practice in your year 2 placement. When you are placed in the operations of a hotel, you will get the opportunity to work inside the kitchen. So you are developing those skills in year 1. We will now pass over to Keith Carden, who is one of our chef and lecturers in the college. He's going to demonstrate a classic French apple tart for you.
Hi, I'm Keith Carden, Culinary lecturer here in Shannon College of Hotel Management. Today I'm going to give you a little taste of our culinary practical module here in the college. Okay, so today I'm going to make a classic French apple tart, okay? So first of all, with a classic French apple tart, the base on it is puff pastry. Okay, so we have just a round of puff pastry cut out for that. And with the tart, one thing I want to do with it is called a docking technique. And just with a fork, I'm going to dock the center of the puff pastry and want the sides to still rise. And I'll brush this pastry with some egg wash, and that'll give the pastry a nice golden brown finish and also add some flavour. Okay, and also on the pastry here I have some cinnamon sugar, so just some caster sugar with some ground cinnamon, and I'm going to give the pastry a nice sprinkle of that. And that's our base essentially ready for later. Okay, and what I'm going to start on now is our what we call crème pâtissier, or pastry cream. And in that, I'm going to add caster sugar, okay, pasteurized egg yolk. Okay, so it's 35 grams of pasteurized egg yolk, 80 grams of caster sugar, and we're going to cream this together. So just mix it nicely together and whisk it until it's nearly pale in colour. Okay, so it needs a vigorous whisking So you see already, it's already starting to change colour. So in the base of the pastry cream, we have the pasteurized egg yolk, like I was saying, and the caster sugar. We also have here custard powder, 12 grams of that, and 40 grams of just ordinary plain flour. Okay. What we're going to do is incorporate those dry ingredients into this mix now shortly. Okay, so what I'll do is add the custard powder in first, the smaller quantity, and just gently combine it with our egg yolks and our caster sugar. Trying not to get flour or powder all over the place. And with the plain flour, what I'll do is incorporate it in batches. So maybe 2 to 3 batches, taking your time, and try not to have too many lumps. But if you end up with lumps at this stage, it's very easy to work out later when we add in our other ingredient, which is our vanilla milk. And I'll run through that now in a second with you. So you can see there now I'm starting to form a nice paste, and there's actually no lumps there, so it's lovely. And we'll give it one last mix there. And I'll just take off and go through that in a second. So when this is all nicely combined to a thick paste, and no lumps hopefully, okay, so over here I have some warmed milk, so 200 mils of milk and half a vanilla pod, okay, so the seeds taken out, and I also left in the outer part of the pod to just add extra flavour while it was infusing. So that's just warmed up, okay, or scalded. Taking off the heat now, and I'm going to gradually add it to our egg mix, okay? And you always, when adding to egg mix, you'll add your hot to your cold. And the important thing with this is add it in gradually, okay? So eggs don't like too much heat. So what you don't want to do is add it all in one go and overcook your eggs or scramble your egg and spoil the mixture. You can see there now, and it's nicely incorporated there already. I'll keep going with some more of our vanilla milk. And as I said earlier, if you had any lumps before adding the milk, at this stage you'll be able to whisk them out. Now, and that's all the milk gone back in. And I'm just going to mix all this together. Okay, so when this is all combined, what we want to do then is cook it out, okay? So essentially cook out our eggs, our custard powder, and our flour, okay? And at the end, we should end up with a nice thick paste, which I'll show you shortly. And we shouldn't taste that grainy flour taste in it at the end. So what you need to do then is back on the heat. So a low to moderate heat, and you're mixing all the time. So this could take 5 to 6 minutes to cook out, but you're staying with the pot, okay? And as I was saying a few minutes ago, egg doesn't like too much heat, so you don't want it up too high in temperature, okay? And the important thing is that you're mixing all the time, that egg doesn't get stuck to the base of the pot. So you can see now it is nicely thickened up. You can see the vanilla seeds throughout, which is lovely to see. So at this stage you could taste it, make sure you don't taste any grainy flavour within the pastry cream, that the flour is fully cooked out, the custard powder is cooked out. And then you can add it to a greaseproof bowl and add cling film on it and into your chiller for a few minutes. And that's your pastry cream. Okay, so now I have my oven preheating. It's at 190 degrees Celsius. I've transferred my nice pastry cream into a piping bag, so it'll make it easier for piping onto a puff pastry. Have some nice red apples sliced to go on top of the tart. And what we'll do is just pipe a nice generous amount of the pastry cream in the center of our puff pastry and lay our apples across it. Okay, and just press it down ever so slightly so it nearly sticks to the pastry cream. And then I'm going to put another generous amount of the cinnamon sugar on top. And around. And that's ready for the oven. So pop it into my hot oven. And for about 16 minutes, 15 to 16 minutes, and I have my timer set here. Okay, so now, so I'm about to finish plating up, and the tart is just ready in the oven. That took about 16 or 17 minutes. And one way of just checking your puff pastry is completely baked through, you just lift the pastry up, and it should be nice and golden brown all the way through underneath on the pastry. And you can see the pastry's got a lovely rise with the layers of the puff, okay? And the way the apples are nicely fanned out, it gives the tart a lovely finish. And just to give it one nice last finish on the tart before we start plating, I have an apricot glaze here. So it's just essentially an apricot jam, melted down with some water, and that will give it a nice finish to the tart and a lovely glaze and shine. And it'll also add some extra flavour as well with that apricot running through. So you can see there, it's already making a big difference in terms of the finishing product. So then I have a plate ready here to plate up, and just on the plate all I have is some raspberry coulis, some lovely fresh raspberries. I have an edible flower here, or viola flower, and some fresh mint. And what we'll do is just pop the French apple tart in the middle of the plate. We'll go with the edible flower just to the side. I also have some pomegranate shells, and what we'll do is just lay that off the tart. And then in here in the fridge I have some vanilla cream just whipped, and what we'll do is what we call a little quenelle. And then just to finish it off, a shake of ice and sugar. So that's your finished plate. You'd be happy to get it in any restaurant or hotel, your classic French apple tart.
Wonderful. I think I can speak for everyone when we say we're a little bit hungry after looking at that video. So that is just an insight into some of the different dishes that you will be cooking in your first year practical. So you'll be able to cook for yourself when you're living out of home and trial different types of cuisines as well. So I'm going to move now to Mr. Neil Finley. So Neil is a recent graduate with the class of 2020 and actually a classmate of my own. So he's now working as a rooms division manager in Castle, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about his experiences through college and to getting where he is today.
Great, thank you, Emma. Great to be here. Good morning, all. Really good to see some of the lecturers this morning when we were testing, and just to see Chef Carden there make that tart. I can confirm that I never had a chance to make that while I was in Shannon, but so I suppose I'll introduce myself. As Emma said, my name is Neil Finley. I am a recent graduate of Shannon College, graduating in 2020. I'm 25 years of age and I'm from Kilkenny. Currently, I'm the Rooms Division Manager of Castle, which I'll touch on in a few short moments. And I suppose the purpose of me being on today is to give you a bit of taster into my life and what I do to see if this is a career for you. So I suppose, why am I here? I'm here from a professional point of view. We've heard from Rachel and Connor, current students in Shannon, and they've discussed placements. I'll discuss those also myself in the next few minutes. But I suppose it's to give you, as I said, an insight into the industry, my views of the industry, you know, some pointers for you, where the industry is going and the current situation. So my own time in Shannon was a fantastic, I suppose, 5 years. I myself did my placement in Luxembourg. I studied French. I was a BBS student, so I had the opportunity to live in Luxembourg, and I worked in Hotel Le Royal, which is a 5-star leading hotels of the world in the city centre there. An eye-opening year. daunting for a lot of people, myself included, especially as my own level of French wasn't the best. However, Mr. Desbos and the French teachers really looked after us and made sure we went over equipped. My level of French was quite strong coming back. You really are put in front of the guests. My own experience being the hotel had just finished a refurbishment. We were dealing with high-end clients, and our French really greatly improved from that. That year also, as a 19-year-old, was, I suppose, what shaped me into where I am today and the sector that I chose to go down. Mainly my experience before that being in food and beverage and restaurants and cafes and banqueting in hotels, I was exposed to the more rooms division aspects of it, so the housekeeping, the front office, guest relations and concierge. So that was a really good time. Then I came back and I studied my year 3 and year 4 in Shannon on campus for my business degree. So that's where all your financial side of things comes in, your economics, your business finance, all the areas which I'm sure you've been told about this morning. And then for my final year placement, I had the chance to go to work in London in the Mandarin Oriental Hotel Group, which I'll show you an image of in the next slide, which was probably one of the best experiences I can say I've ever had. I was there for about 9 months, and then the COVID-19 pandemic hit. A very tough time, I suppose, in the industry for everyone, but a huge learning curve for a lot of people. I'll touch on it briefly, but I had the chance to move into the hotel for those lockdowns in London and kept the hotel running while we were shut for those long periods of time. So it really was a fantastic time. Obviously, our graduation was postponed. I believe the week of our graduation was the same day that Leo Varadkar stood out on the podium and announced lockdown. So we were the very first Zoom graduation with NUIG. However, we did have the chance to celebrate our graduation last November in Dromoland Castle in the old-fashioned way, which was fantastic. So just moving on, sorry now. So just a few images. I didn't want to put too much writing in front of you, as I know you've been on for a while, but just to touch on some of the properties that I myself have worked at. The middle picture being Adair Manor, some of you may notice. I was in 3rd year in Shannon, and I took this job whilst I was studying at the same time, as a lot of students choose to do. I just come back from Luxembourg. And of course, the fantastic Adair Manor was reopening, and I jumped at the opportunity to get into the housekeeping team there from my experience on year 2 placement, and I became a supervisor there for the opening team. That was a fantastic experience to be working at such a young age, at the age of 20, at a supervisory level, for one of the biggest openings the country has ever seen. It was the largest single investment in a property. And it was truly amazing. My dream is always to get back down there. It's a very exciting property, obviously an amazing golf course and amazing product, but it was truly special and close to my heart. To the left-hand side, you'll see the Mandarin Oriental London, which I arrived in 2019. It had just completed a £200 million renovation. So I arrived opening week, and Emma, who's also on the call, we were classmates. She went with me also, and we both worked at this fantastic property. I took the rooms division management training program, which stands to me to this day, obviously. I worked from housekeeping to laundry to front of house to all the different areas to learn all of these areas and ideally to become a strong manager in these areas. Very quickly, within a few months, I became a manager within the housekeeping department. I ran the in-house laundry service, and I also ran the private residencies. To the left-hand side, it's not included in that image, but there is 86 luxury private residencies, which is managed by the Mandarin Oriental. So for those regular high flyers around the world that like hotel service, this gave them the chance to buy a property in the Mandarin Oriental and have a hotel service whilst being in the privacy of their own homes. So those apartments range from £20 million to £250 million. So to be on the ground and dealing with that level of guests was something that you will never experience in most parts of the world. And London is a great place for that level of service. Then moving on, after my near 2 years in London, having gone through COVID-19 and the challenges there and implementing all the changes in London, I decided it was time for me to move home. I am a bit of a home bird, and I came home and took up the position of a Director of Housekeeping role in Lyrath Estate in Kilkenny, which was a hugely challenging role in the sense that we were reopening the hotel after lockdowns, complete new recruitment, and that was all, I suppose, left to me to run. I was 24 years of age. I was quite young, but I took it on in my stride and absolutely loved it. And that brings me to the right-hand picture, Kilkee Castle. I'm not sure some of you may know the property. It's located in Kildare, short distance from Dublin, and just a few minutes up the road from Kilkenny, which is where I am today. I am the Rooms Division Manager. Some of you may know what that role is, some may not. So Rooms Division and Food and Beverage would be the main divisions in a hotel. Food and Beverage being your restaurants, your kitchens, your outlets where people are served. The rest of the property is mainly Rooms Division. So your bedrooms, your maintenance, your guest services, your front of house, front office, concierge, and that's what falls under Rooms Division. So I oversee all of that. I currently have about 100 staff reporting into me, various managers, our housekeeping manager, our front of house manager, our guest services manager, all reporting to me. And I suppose my job is to make sure everything runs smoothly, to make sure we're ready for a busy season, and to keep everything ticking over. I suppose to be honest, the industry at the moment is going through a challenging period, like a lot of areas, not just hospitality, retail, different specialised areas. That area of recruitment, I suppose, is a priority for us all, and that's why days such as today, the TY Tasters, are so important to get people thinking again about the hospitality industry. And I suppose the main part of my role at the moment is recruitment, training, retention. It's really, really important. So hospitality is currently going through a phase where it's reviewing itself. And I think all the leaders of the industry are taking a step back and analysing, okay, what do people want out of their lives? I think COVID, obviously we want to forget about it, but we do need to take some learnings from it. And I think we all experienced, time with family, and we all want a work-life balance, and hospitality is now starting to make those changes. It's trying to catch up to attract that talent bank, to get people in the doors. Just as NUIG is doing this today, it's to open people's eyes. Things such as 4-day working weeks, 8-hour shifts, and giving people that work-life balance is really, really crucial, and that's certainly where the role is heading towards. So I'll just move on to, this is a slide, my last slide. It was shown to us when we were back in first year. Our class patron, Endo O'Mara, who's a legend within the industry, he came in and he put this up when he was trying to describe to us the role of a hotel manager, and it kind of stuck in my head as it says a lot. It's quite simple. But a hotel manager isn't just the hotel manager. As you can see here, there's a lot more to it. You're, investment banker, landscape architect, lighting technician, insurance risk surveyor, magazine journalist, housing officer. You're everything there that's on that page. Your job isn't simply just to stand in reception and meet guests. There's so much more to it. There's the human resource aspect, dealing with people, helping them with their lives, dealing with guests, dealing with all the construction issues, huge aspects. Interior design was an area I never realized I'd be so heavily involved in, but my job on a day-to-day basis is to deal with our maintenance, our painting team, our on-site interior designer, to make sure that our rooms are to standard, to make sure that the right paints are being used, and all the problems that come with that. You'd be very, very surprised. No 2 days are the same, and I think if that's one thing you can take from my talk today, I suppose, is that no 2 days are the same. I know a lot of people say that about jobs, but I can certainly confirm that every single day there's something new thrown at you. You never deal with the same issue twice, or else you're not doing your job properly. So that's really, really important. Every guest is different, every staff member is different, and every maintenance problem is different. So it's exciting. and it's great. You can leave at 5:30 every day. I get to leave and go through in the car on the way home the things that I've done, the things that I've dealt with. Really surprises you. So I suppose just to kind of finish up, my advice to you, and I suppose I think back to my time when I was 16, 17, even 15 in TY. I suppose if you are even considering the role in hospitality, coming to Shannon, the biggest piece of advice is to get experience. I myself use transition year as a period of wiseness. I suppose I took whatever job I could get. I started off in a cafe. I did start cleaning pots and pans, and instantly I loved it. And from there, my grow for hospitality really developed. And I spent 2 years doing that. I decided then in transition year that hospitality was where I was going, and Shannon was where I needed to go to get that industry experience, to get those 2 years of placement on your CV before you even hit 21, 22. It's huge, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. And when you're up against your other candidates for jobs from possibly other hotel schools around the world, none of them are doing what Shannon is doing. None of them are sending 19-year-olds and 21-year-olds to Europe and further afield, and it really stands to you. It matures you. It allows you to make decisions at a young age that not many people get to. I suppose you're heading as well towards a stressful time, 5th or 6th year, looking at CAO points, leaving cert, and it is a stressful period. So if you are looking at it as a viable industry job, it is important to get that experience, and that is quite important. You know, hotels are ramping up for summer now. It is quite important that you do get in and get your CV in, be it a rooms job or F&B job. And as I say, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. All right, so that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Neil. It's great to get an insight into a recent graduate's life, and I suppose the opportunities that are there for you, and even speaking and touching on the fact that we graduated right into the cusp of a pandemic was a very difficult time, but it does show the qualifications, the dedications, and how sought after the Shannon graduates really are. To say that, you know, at 25 you could be in such a prestigious position, having worked in some of the leading hotels of the world, and now going forward in your career. So thanks so much for sharing that, Neil. I'm going to pass you to our final speaker of the day. We are joined by Miss Rachel O'Connell, who is a 3rd year student ambassador, and she's going to share with you a little insight into the student life here at Shannon College.
Perfect. Thanks a million, Emma. So as Emma was saying, I'm a 24-year-old student, and I'm just after finishing my 3rd year in Shannon College of Hotel Management. I'm studying the BBS stream. So I actually had originally chose the BCom stream. So next year I would be going to NUI Galway, but a few weeks ago I decided that I just liked the electives more next year on the Shannon campus. So I'm here for another year. I am also a student ambassador. So throughout the year I've been doing things like open days and things like that and representing the college. And this year I was also a class representative. And I am currently working as a banqueting supervisor in the Armada Hotel in Spanish Point in County Clare. So today I'm going to be talking about the kind of non-academic side of Shannon College, things that, you know, you don't think to ask, but you know that the questions are there. So firstly, if you decide to come to Shannon, or if you're thinking about going, a main thing is accommodation, as it is with any kind of course you decide to do. So when you're in 6th year and you decide to go, if you decide you want to go to UCC or even the main campus in NUIG or UL, you'll have to figure out what kind of accommodation you want, and you'll be paying deposits, and you'll be searching online, and you'll be on waiting lists and all that kind of thing. So Shannon College of Hotel Management is great in the sense that you don't have to stress about accommodation at all. So the accommodation that the 1st years in Shannon College live in is Castle Gardens in Bunratty. So you apply through the CEO and you do your interview, and then if you get accepted and you get your offer in August, the college email you on all the information about where you'll be staying. It's located about 9 or 10 minutes from the college itself at the airport. and all the first years are together in one estate, and then across the road in Bunratty West, all the third years and all the fourth years are there. So it's brilliant in a sense that all the college are basically together. They're all in one little village. And if you were to do nursing in UCC, you could be living in a house with someone who's doing arts. Whereas when you come to Shannon, everyone's doing the same course, everyone has the same homework as you, they all have the same tests. So it's brilliant in that sense. And the accommodation, they're 3-bedroom houses, and there's enough for everyone, so there's never any stress with anything like that. So another thing I'm going to talk about is kind of clubs and societies. So firstly, as clubs, as we're such a small campus, you may think that like there isn't a lot going on, but there actually is. I know from myself anyway, being in third year, there wasn't a day that went by that I wasn't busy after college. So if I wasn't doing an assignment and I had absolutely nothing to do, there was so many clubs and societies and extracurricular activities to get involved in. So Shannon College have a GAA, so it's mainly lads, but some girls can join in as well. And they do that every Wednesday, and they do it outside on the pitch, and then in the winter time they kind of go inside, and then they go back out then kind of February and March. A few years in a row now, they've also had kind of a golf club or a golf society. So there's a few team members who are avid golfers, and they go and they tour around. They go to Shannon, or they go up the country to Kildare and things like that. And then we also do things like spinning classes, Muay Thai and things like that, and they'd run for 6 to 8 weeks. So the main thing about the clubs and societies, I would say, is that if you come in first year, and even if you're not sporty whatsoever, or if you're not outgoing or anything at all, the main thing I'd say to you is join something. If it's anything at all, even if it's not a club, I'll go on to talk about societies in a minute. It's the best thing you can do, because the campus is so small. If you join something, you're going to make friends straight away with your year. You're going to make friends with the older years. And I know when you go to a big like a larger college, it doesn't really matter about the years above you. But here in Shannon, you'll hear about it, and you've probably already heard about it already today, is there's a great sense of a Shannon family. And at times, you know, you could think it's a bit cliched and stuff, but it actually isn't. Even Neil and Emma, they were in the years above me, and even other people in their year, I'd be great friends with. And so it doesn't matter what year you're in. If you went to Shannon, everyone will know everyone. So another type of thing that I would definitely encourage anyone to join is a society. So the college has loads of societies. These are just a few here on the screen. So we have a charity committee, we have kind of a social club, which would organise college balls and college kind of events. We'd have a green society, and we have a student space. So firstly, I'll talk about the student space. It's actually a mental health society. So it's all about positive mental health, and you know, we're in an industry that's really tough going. It has a reputation of having long hours, and I do think that's changing. But it's brilliant to be able to have a society, and that the college do understand that, you know, it is important to look after your mental health. We also have a green society. Obviously, if you've ever been in any hotels, or even if you're watching the news, you know, sustainability is such a huge topic these days, and the college do understand that, and there's a few students who want to, you know, make a good impact on the world and want the college to come along with it. And then as well as that, there's a charity committee. So every year we pick a local charity. So I was actually the chairperson of the charity committee this year. So we picked a local hospice in Ennis, which is really nearby, and you know, a lot of the lecturers would know it and things like that. And basically all year we fundraised for it. So we organised different events. So we organised Christmas jumper days, and we went into Limerick, we went up to Galway for a night out. We had a race night, we had a table quiz, we had loads of different things, and it was all such good crack. And it was all about raising money as well, but at the same time you were meeting new people in Shannon, and you know, getting involved in things. So this year actually we had like a record number of people on the charity committee. So there was 43 of us, and about 22 of them were first years, and every first year that joined said that it was the best thing they did, because they got to know everyone on the committee. They got to know all the third years and the fourth years, and otherwise you wouldn't know them at all, because you know, you're not in the same classes as them. You'd just pass them in the corridor and you wouldn't even know. And then the final kind of society I'd talk about is the social club. So that this is kind of just nights out, you know, the Shannon family, we're all big on doing things together, you know, to get everyone involved and for everyone to come. So we have a college ball every year, like many schools business. There'd be a commerce ball up in NUI Galway and things like that. So we have a college ball, and it's a 2-day event, and it's you know, we wear long dresses and the boys wear suits, and you would stay in a hotel for 2 nights, and you have a 3-course meal, and there's a band and a DJ. And it's always, I know I'd say Emma herself could say, it's the highlight of every year. Everyone goes, you know, whether you know you're outgoing or not, and you come and have a meal, and it's kind of different in a sense to a normal college, as the lectures go as well. So it's a brilliant way to just sit back, relax, and you know, kind of blow off steam after a hard year so far. And then on the right, then that's just a poster for our last night of the year. So we just went to a hotel, and we kind of had a bit of a DJ, and there was an MC and things. So obviously the college is very academic, and we do business subjects, and we do accounting, and you know, we do all the practical side of things. And obviously we're training to be hoteliers, and we'll be doing long hours. But you know, I want to emphasize as well that just you can have it all. You know, you need to have a balance, and you need to be able to put the head down and study, but then you also need to have outlets, whether it be sports, whether it be walking, you know, mental health societies, and things like that. So in Shannon, even if there is something that you want to do, like chess, and it's not there, it's brilliant in a sense that if you go to the student services officer, they'll make it happen. So the next thing I'm going to talk about that I think is a great program here in Shannon College is the peer mentor program. So if you decide to come to Shannon College in first year, and you get actually paired with a third year student, so it's just assigned randomly. So each third year student gets a first year student, and the third years usually come back a week before the first years. So when the first years arrive to campus, you know, we'll all go and socialise down in Bunratty, and the third years will have the first year's name, and they'll go find them. And basically the idea of the programme is that there's some silly questions that, you know, you don't want to ask a lecturer, something like, how do you get to college? Or, you know, how to, you know, what do you wear for this? Or, you know, what do you do after college? Where do you go to eat? You know, things, silly things, or like where can you go to the hairdressers in Shannon, or absolutely outrageous things that you just wouldn't ask your lecturer. And it's brilliant in a way because you have this person who knows exactly what position you are in because they were in it 2 years ago, and they can help you along the way, and they kind of look out for you. So I know now, we just finished up yesterday, and we, you know, we had our last night together, and we finished our exams, and all the first years and all the third years were together, and we were all with our peer mentor, our mentees, and it was just lovely that it had come full circle, and we did the whole year and things like that. So I've included a few pictures of the first years and the third years mingling and things like that, and you know, that it's not, you know, so separate, and it is really a Shannon family. So the last thing then I'm going to talk about is, where is Shannon College? So obviously if you are on the main campus, you know exactly where NUIG is, but some people don't know where Shannon College is. So it's based in Shannon Airport, and it's about a 15-minute drive to Ennis. And then it's a 20-minute drive to Limerick and about a 40-minute drive to Galway. And we're lucky in a sense, because we're at the airport, that there's so many forms of public transport and things like that. So obviously, you know, you're in TY at the moment, and you're thinking about what to do and things, and you're probably thinking, oh, you know, I want to be somewhere central. But even though we're not in the city, we're lucky because we've got the most public transport. There's buses going to all the towns and all the cities because it is literally at the airport. As I mentioned in my first slide about accommodation, there's the college actually provide a bus in the mornings, so they really go above and beyond. So even if you don't drive or you don't have a car, you don't even have to worry about how you're going to get to college in the morning, because the bus leaves at 8 o'clock, and the first years all get on the bus, and then they're in college for the day. So it really is, you know, just little things like that Shannon kind of do to look after you, and it's just little stresses that you don't need, so it just makes your whole experience more seamful. So that's My last thing then is again just about it being a small campus. So obviously we're part of NUI Galway, so we full use of the Hardeman Library up on the main campus, and as well as all the clubs and societies I mentioned, all the clubs and societies on the main campus we can look at too. We're also, as a class rep this year, I was in contact with all the student union reps on the main campus. And lastly, the Socks Box, which is kind of a foreign concept to you, obviously, because you're in transition year, but you can buy tickets for things. It's on the main campus of NUI Galway, and we also have full use of that as well. And lastly, as Mr. Donovan probably already said, it is a degree from NUI Galway, so we have all the perks of the large university while being on a smaller campus. Thanks, and that's all from me. Thanks a million.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Rachel. A really, really nice way to end the talk today and the event. It's just really does give the students an insight into the student life and really the questions, I suppose, that they wouldn't normally think about asking. So, and yeah, it is a really student-driven college. So that is one thing to point out. I know when you're in transition year, you're really having a look at the different universities and I suppose the bigger campuses and what would attract you to those. With Shannon, it is a smaller campus, and Rachel really touched on that. But I suppose if you're a tactical thinker and you're really thinking ahead, there is a lot of perks and a lot of pluses to that. You are like a family and you are joining in, and although we were all in different years, we all still have a very close connection. And in the industry that we're in at the moment, it's all about networking, it's all about who you know, and that really does start from day one when you walk in the door in Shannon College. You do join a big family and a network of graduates and students all over the world. So I really, really hope you enjoyed the day. Thank you all so much for joining in with us. We hope you learned something, and maybe in the coming 2 years you will get a little bit of experience into the industry and hopefully join us at some of our upcoming open days in the near future. So thank you so much again and have a lovely weekend.